Welcome back to Will, A Wonderful World. Last time we were given a lot to think about by Alicia and Spotty. Because Alicia starts to get involved with... Well, I guess she was technically involved with the gangs before. Just she was involved as a piece of merchandise. But now she's more deeply involved with gangs. And Spotty's just trying to live their best life. And speaking of their best life, it sounds like Li Wen's not really living hers. And we also have a new character to meet. So let's take a look at whoever our new friend is. In the 113th minute, Mario got to stop the ball and hit a perfect shot. Goal! Argentina had lost in the World Cup final. It was over. Game over. Oh wait, no, he wasn't happy about it. Oh, come on! I had stayed up the whole night for this? Pounded the table as hard as I could. No one was gonna complain anyway. Everyone had already gone home. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here watching the final all by myself. Gaokao had been over a month ago. My best friends were all traveling around the country. No, around the globe. One would have to be completely nuts to still be living in the school dorm. Yes, I was talking about myself. Well, Jimmy, too. Wait, hold up, is this Rocky? This is Rocky, isn't it? Since my family was moving and my parents were both too busy with their jobs, they had told me to stay at school for a couple more days. What was worse, I had to be in charge of moving myself, so I was unable to go out and have some fun. The last summer of high school. Wasted. I didn't know what Jimmy had been up to recently. See, it wasn't even 5 a.m. yet and he was already gone. Well, we wouldn't be spending too many more days together anyways. Jimmy had said his father's business seemed to be going well now, so they would be going back to Hong Kong soon. I had told him I'd like to do a formal send-off for him. By formal, I just meant getting some grilled chicken wings at the grill bar near school. He said it wasn't necessary. What a killjoy. Well, I mean, Jimmy just came here because of a girl, so, you know. I was too tired. I decided to eat that apple before I went back to bed. I rinsed the apple off and put it on the desk, but I accidentally knocked it onto the floor. You dare hide from me, Apple? I'm gonna wash you again, and you're still getting eaten. I looked down and noticed a basin under Jimmy's bed. It was giving off a faint smell. I had a bad feeling about this. I pulled it out from under the bed out of curiosity. Oh boy. Dear God! I don't really believe in God, but I had to call out his name. It was filled with dirty clothes and stinking socks, all submerged in water. And the real problem? Who knew how long those things had been there? I didn't even dare to guess the age of the little mushrooms that were growing and thriving on the clothes. A strong, sour smell filled the air. Just like that, it was sitting in the middle of our room for over an hour. Jimmy finally came back. I had decided not to go to sleep just so I could confront him about this disgusting thing. I'd been staring at it the entire time, and I felt like I might pass out at any moment. Jimmy, Did you ever worry about us getting cancer with a chemical weapon like this in our room? Alright. Clean it up now. And then he just dumped the entire basin, including the mushrooms, all into the common washing machine. Dear Lord! I had to call out his name once again. Jimmy had always been a great friend, smart, reliable, and loyal. And the only problem was that he never cared about hygiene. I'd always considered myself to be pretty messy, but I'd never imagined I would meet someone even worse. I was stunned. Yep, there it is. It's Rocky. Jimmy, my opinion of you actually did go up a little after seeing you presumably hack the school BBS to protect Li Wen. And now we have clothes with mushrooms on it. Did he not actually ever learn how to do laundry? Did he... Like, that stuff has to be moldy as hell by now. I'm actually kind of horrified on Rocky's behalf. And then you just dump it into the washing machine? With the mushrooms? Are we making a stew? I'm right there with you, Rocky. I am stunned. Let's see how Li Wen can help take care of Jimmy again. The weather had been getting warmer. I sat on the roof of the classroom building, watching the boys down on the basketball court. They were trying to compete to see who looked the coolest while making a shot. So childish. A few days ago, photos of me and Mr. Wen had been posted on the school BBS, and it had gone viral in school. I had to explain the whole thing to Miss Yang and even the school supervisor. People in the school eventually learned that we were just neighbors and we had not been living together. Still, there were some trashy people who insisted that it was not a coincidence that we were living so close. There was even some more blatant people who would follow me after school. However, those people weren't going to get anything. Because ever since that day, I hadn't seen him myself. He hadn't come to school. He hadn't been home. The lights had been off every night. I didn't have the courage to go and knock on his door, even though it was right next to mine. Maybe he had moved away? Since I had brought him too much trouble? Just when my mind was racing all over the place, I got a text message from Jing. Breaking news! Mr. Wen is back! The art class this afternoon will resume as normal. I couldn't believe my eyes. However, he must have gone missing all these days because of the photos and everything. If I went to his class, wouldn't people in class gossip about us? Then I would be causing him even more trouble. But if I didn't go, people would still be gossiping, right? What should I do? The dessert today in the school cafeteria was yogurt. I opened the cup, but then didn't really have much of an appetite for it. So I just left it on the table. It was so hot today. I moved my hand and knocked it over. The yogurt spilled all over the floor, making a big white mess. I took out some napkins and wiped the floor absent-mindedly. By the time I was done, the art class was already over. I lay on the roof, staring at the gray sky. Another text from Jing. The classroom was full today. You should have been there to see how I shut those people up for bad-mouthing you. Oh, and at the end of the class, Mr. Wen tore up everybody's sketches. This man! Ugh! I probably should have gone to the class. What should I do about the class the day after tomorrow? Li Wen's problem is that she doesn't want to cause problems for Mr. Wen. I mean, I'd normally be inclined to just sort of let her be, but sadly that's not how this game works, and it feels pretty clear what we gotta do to help Rocky. It's just a temporary fix for Rocky, but still. Hey, I just realized... Have Jimmy and Rocky both graduated from high school already? Li Wen's letter was about something that happened not long after the previous incident. She must still be in high school, right? You're right. Even though their letters arrived together for us, the events they experienced might not have happened at the same time. In fact, they could have happened days apart, or months, years, even centuries apart. For us, time is not an absolute concept. It's only relative. When we receive their letters, it's purely determined by the casual links among them. For example, we've received a letter saying that Jimmy would be going back to Hong Kong after graduation. That means this event was already bound to happen. I see. I mean, we kind of knew that the letters were all over the place time-wise. I guess there's like nothing to change about Jimmy going to school, going back home then. But we can possibly change. I'm like reacting violently to a strong sour smell filled the air. We can change how these events play out. Maybe Li Wen causes a smell disturbance in school. And if Rocky spills it, then he's going to clean it up himself. Which, I'm not really fond of people cleaning up after Jimmy. Jimmy should be cleaning up after himself. But at least it's something different. Jimmy had always half-assed everything, and he had never followed through with anything. He would never learn if I didn't teach him a lesson this time. Plus, I really couldn't stand this any longer. His dirty clothes and the mushrooms had spilled on the floor, with the smelly water flooding throughout the room. Ah, here came the star of the show. Jimmy just walked in. He let out a grunt of surprise and immediately walked over to his bed to pick up his precious gaming console. He'd even stepped over a few mushrooms. You win. Jimmy recognized my anger and started cleaning the room without a word. As long as he had learned his lesson. The yogurt tasted kinda strange. Or stranger than usual, I should say. Well, if it had gone bad, that would actually be great for me. I could just go and hide in the infirmary with a stomachache as my excuse. With such a legitimate reason, nobody could say anything else about me. I held my breath and drank the whole cup. The art classroom was on the way to the infirmary. I couldn't help myself, so I snuck up to the back door and tried to peek inside through the small glass window. Rocky was sound asleep, drooling with his mouth open. Jing was so focused. Mr. Wen would be insane to tear up her sketch this time. Mr. Wen was standing with his back towards me, looking at Jing's sketch. He must have liked it to be looking at it so closely. I stood up on my toes and tried to see her sketch for myself. But he suddenly turned around. Thank God I crouched down just in time. However, the sudden movement must have caused my stomach to start hurting. It felt like it was a bad cramp. And it was getting worse and worse. I leaned against the door and crumpled. I felt like I was dreaming. In my dream, he was carrying me on his back and asking me where I wanted to go. I said I wanted to go and see the rainbow on Shuanglong Mountain. I heard that the rainbow was gorgeous there. He said okay. But Shuanglong Mountain was hard to get to. Even taxis wouldn't take us. So Mr. Wen kept carrying me on his back. And he kept running, and running. I fell asleep in the dream too. But did we ever get to see the rainbow or not? Nevertheless, it didn't really matter. I just wanted the dream to last a little longer. And longer. And longer. So those are our best endings. Not entirely fond of Rocky's problem-solving skills here. Like he's got a right to be annoyed, but man, there are better ways to communicate. I kind of expected this to not be the best ending for Li Wen because of the sudden stomach issues. But then we got the dreamy music, so here we are. And here's Rocky. It's interesting that Rocky's color is white. Everything else is whatever the letter is white, and then the rest of the box is filled with their color. Meanwhile, Rocky's box is white. And then the letter is gray. Ooh, that's a lot of letters. Definitely looks like we've got Jimmy in there. Maybe Mr. Wen as well. And we had Alicia from before. So I'm a little curious what this difference is. But we've got a lot of letters for next time. I feel also pretty confident in that if I go back to clear up the rest of these. Since the best ending was already achieved. I definitely won't miss out on anything. So that's something I'm gonna have to work on. But before we get to whatever happens next time, we've got a new person. We've got a new profile. Let's take a look at Rocky. Went to Yingnan High School, loved tennis and soccer. Why is it past tense? Also, there's like only two things on on his report. What else has happened with Lee Wen since we last checked these profiles? Here we are. At 18, rumored to be involved with a school teacher as well as living with him. Funnily enough, that school teacher does not have that same information. As for Alicia, kidnapped from Maple House and sold off in an underground auction house, and the bad thing that happened to her has been fixed, so it's been removed from here. And as for Spotty, the darkest thought: I should stuff rats into the humans' beds. Oh, Spotty. What a king, queen, noble. Well, yeah, that's exactly what the description is. Noble. So next time, we've got a bunch of letters from Jimmy, Wen Zhaoren, and Alicia. No, I have not learned my lesson about, like, not guessing who wrote these letters because I could be wrong. Still wondering how the hell we're gonna save Kang Baekya and Kyungmin. Will I ever forget about them? Who knows? Who knows? But until then, please don't let your clothes fester until mushrooms grow on them. This has been a public service announcement.